It is the RIOT podcast. Welcome in.
Hello,
Thanks
everybody.
for joining.
You'll hear in this podcast just a friendly reminder that the upcoming RadioU virtual 5K is coming up soon. So if you want to check out RadioU.com/5K, it's a great way to support RadioU, which supports the RIOT. And you can join us for our 5K if you want.
I just remembered that I said we need some reviews. So I'm checking if anybody has reviewed us, and they haven't.
Okay, well, you still can if
still
you'd like.
need to review. If
not, text us and just say hi. That one seems less threatening.
Yeah.
If you want to text,
but it also helps us less. And don't you want to help?
Well, that's true.
Don't you want to do a favor for Nikki and I? It doesn't cost you anything.
I don't know. It's like making a phone call. Like, I never leave reviews for any apps, anything. But if you guys want to, it's us.
Because the only time I'm inspired to leave a review for a restaurant, it's when it's bad. I never want to go and do the 5-star review, even though that's what would help the restaurant. I always want to do the only time I've ever reviewed a restaurant, and this is true, Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Because I was so tired of the one of the couple that are near my house always just taking forever, messing up orders, just not caring no matter what. And I was finally like, don't even waste your time, people. I'm just trying to save someone the trouble. Just go to the Wendy's next door or something. You'll have a better experience.
And now that's every place.
Yeah.
So your review of Taco Bell became every literal location of every fast food place near us.
Yes, but that has nothing to do with anything in the podcast.
No.
It's just review talk. So get your review in, and we'll read it on the air. How about that?
That'd be nice.
In the actual podcast today, we talk about another podcast involving Arthur and DW.
So Arthur, a show that you might remember when you were growing up.
The cartoon aardvark.
Yeah, there's a podcast coming out, not official.
Yeah, I don't know if it's affiliated.
I don't think it is.
Someone did text in and said, Arthur, it's been on the air since 1996, and it is now coming to an end this September.
So it's still on air?
I don't know if it's been continual, but it's still been around this whole time.
Well, I guess if you do 1 or 2 episodes a year, it counts as still being on.
Hey, people love that guy. People love Arthur, and they don't love DW, and that's what the podcast is all about. Also in the show, we talk about parachuting dogs. Mm-hmm. We talk about the problem with cell phone use that we all need to be aware of.
Extra aware.
It could be a problem. And we talk about the Stanley Cup finals.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Nikki, that was Nikki's favorite part.
I think so. I appreciate sports. You obviously way more than I do. But I don't mind when it's the bigger events, as long as you don't try to get me involved in everything leading up.
Oh, so you don't, wait.
So I don't want I have a hard time following hockey, say, at the beginning of the season.
Well, you're not alone. The seasons are so long in every sport except football that it does wear on you. But you don't want to talk about the John Deere Classic coming up this weekend?
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying, what if there's not time?
Who do you think will win, though?
Is that golf?
Yeah, that's a good guess.
Well, it's a classic. Normally, classic is golf.
Well, I thought I might have guessed NASCAR, except that I just happened to see something. I feel
like classic is a golf term. I don't know.
Yeah.
John Deere's the big winner, actually.
Yeah, with
because
the sponsorship.
That's the sponsor.
Yeah, that's the only name we're getting out of it.
He's the number one winner.
So that's all on the podcast, and there's some other goodies in there.
And so much more. We'll hopefully enjoy. Say hi. Text 877 to Radio U, and we hope everybody has a fantastic day.
Yeah, talk to you next time.
If you've ever asked yourself, just how bad can it get? We've got your answer right here. Worst of the Riot, Radio U.
A lot of times, we like to just talk about what happened in our day yesterday.
Just kind of, see what happened yesterday.
And guess what?
What?
Nothing.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Hey, sometimes that's the best day.
That's right. I didn't even watch 6 hours of TV or anything.
Like the day before.
Yeah. I just had nothing. I just chilled out, lost track of time, and that was it. Did you get into anything?
I think I'm probably in the same boat, not too much, which is good, I guess. It's just nice to have a little bit break of a day.
It's good for us, not good for the show.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe we should pretend no, we were really hard at work all day, even into the night.
I got hit by a train.
It was that much.
Yeah, it was. It was for the show.
Well, I mean,
You'll never believe the story.
Please don't say Hudson is not dedicated, because he absolutely is.
I had to have. It was getting late. I knew I had to have something to talk about, so I went to the tracks, and the locomotive was coming my way. Fortunately, I survived.
Oh, good.
Not a scratch on me. But
well, if not, it's like, how hurt can you be and still come in? Because you want to be delicate about that. You're like, oh, how sick is someone? And be like, oh, are you still coming in, or is it a half day for you while you heal from your train injury, or
it's
what?
a good point. If I did go down to the train tracks, then it's a win-win either way. Either I get hit by a train and I'm too injured to come into work,
sure,
so I don't have to worry about what I need to talk about, or I get hit by a train and it's a good story. But I shouldn't be joking about this, because I used to always hear those PSAs, public service announcements, little things. They sound like commercials, but they're not commercials because they're paid for by like the government.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I used to hear all the time was about how you shouldn't cross train tracks unless you're really sure. If the barriers are down, the lights are blinking, do not cross the train tracks. And I always thought, how many people are really getting hit by trains?
You'd be surprised. You are.
Yeah, enough to make PSA campaigns about it. So
I think they have to cover so many sections of like transportation and this and that, just to make sure that everybody's covered.
Yeah, because really a lot of them would just boil down to like, don't drunk drive and don't, do drugs, but that's not. You need more variety than
they
that.
Have to have more than
PSA,
that.
So they have to come up with new ones, like don't get hit by trains.
Well, I just again want to let you know, in case I've never said this enough, but if you ever need a break for a day, you just let me know. You don't have to go to that extreme.
Am I allowed to call in just because there's not enough to talk about?
No, we still have to make something.
Okay. Well, I'll make
but
something.
I don't want you to ever make something so extreme.
Okay.
There are some people that shouldn't have their own podcast. And by some people, we mean these people. RadioU's Worst of the Riot podcast.
I feel a little bad about this. That we were talking about what we did yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't even watch a moment of the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 5 was last night.
Did we guess the right one?
Yeah, you actually did. Some of the headlines for it, they used your same joke. I think they stole it from you. Lightning strike twice.
You're welcome, press. You're welcome.
Yeah, but that's because they won.
They're going to try to get me for ESPN soon.
Yeah, Derek, you can take over for Rachel Nichols.
They're interested in my take on sports.
Yep, of course. And so the Lightning won to close it all out. That is their second consecutive Stanley Cup victory. They won last year in the bubble also. And this year, they kind of ran straight through. I don't think they were really challenged too much in any of their series. In this game against the Canadiens, they won 1-0. And they won the series in 5 games, which means it went pretty quickly. And now they get their second straight Stanley Cup. It's not without controversy.
Of course.
Because they were over the salary cap in the playoffs. So I feel that's a caveat that needs to be added. Because it makes us feel better because we don't like the Lightning, right? Right, everyone? We don't like the Lightning?
I was fine with them.
As hockey fans,
no, I think
we think the Lightning aren't good because they had an unfair advantage.
So does that mean they're paying more than the other teams, or they have more players or better players?
Yes, the combination of the two.
Players?
Yes, the issue is like in many major sports, there's the salary cap where you are to prevent teams like. In baseball, there is no salary cap, so normally you would see the Yankees and the Dodgers
have way
more money than the smaller market teams, and they can pay way more. They're in more desirable locations, and so the players will just go there and leave the teams in Pittsburgh out in the cold. But in hockey and in the NFL and some other sports, like there is a cap so that those teams don't have such an advantage.
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, but in the hockey playoffs, the Tampa Bay Lightning, there is no salary cap once you get to the playoffs. Like, your team is your team. The Lightning had a guy, one of the best players in the league. His name is Nikita Kucherov. He was out all season, like on the injured reserve. When you're on injured reserve, you don't count against the salary cap. But he makes a lot of money because he's one of the best players in the league.
Sure.
He comes back for the playoffs.
Oh,
so
and
now
then
they're
suddenly...
and it's not like they're kind of over by like a few dollars. They're like $18 million over the salary cap because that's his salary.
When you're talking salaries, though, like, $18 million would be like us of like a few $100s.
Yeah. I think the salary cap in the NHL, don't quote me on this exactly, but it's less than $100 million. So they're like 20% over the cap.
Wow.
So that is a pretty big deal.
So then suddenly they're now like they got better players, which give them an unfair advantage over an average team.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that they were guaranteed to win, but
when it's your second year winning in a row.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
hey, I still like him. I'm fine with it.
All right. Just because you picked him. And you
that's
had
why.
the name.
And I'm not going back on it.
So I'm upset, and but I also didn't watch. That's why I didn't watch. I wasn't once it became clear that the Lightning were going to win. That's when I tuned out because I don't want to support it.
Tampa Bay won. Yeah, okay. They're like, please, Hudson, what can we do to bring you back?
I'll be back next year.
The guy's going to take a pay cut. He feels so bad because he wants you watching.
They need better rules is what they need.
They need to probably enforce them more, too.
Yeah.
So Tampa Bay Lightning, their second Stanley Cup in a row, and the Canadians did not get anything.
No, yeah. Canada
No
gets
cups for
shut
them.
out once again.
How to survive the riot. Do the complete opposite of everything they say. You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
Been a long time coming, but finally you'll be able to tape in peace.
Tape what?
Whatever you need.
Like physical tape.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What, you meant like videotape?
I don't
What is this, the
know.
1980s?
I don't know. So what am I taping besides an Amazon return? And even that, I just take the code and you just drop it off at a place.
Yeah, you need tape for that. You need tape for your arts and crafts. You need tape for things you are just trying to secure safely around the house.
I guess maybe outside of holiday times, we don't normally deal a lot with tape, but is it about the noise from tape? Or what is
you get the packing tape, and every time you peel it off the thing, it's like...
It's because it's screaming because it's dying.
It is. This is the tape. It doesn't want to go to its new home, wherever it is. And it knows when it gets there, it's just going to be ripped off,
and you messed
treated
it
like
up
garbage.
You pulled it off, and then it got caught somewhere, and then it's folded over, and
I hate
it looks
that.
terrible, and then you take your box in, and it's ruined.
The worst thing with tape, and I know this because I've sold a lot on eBay, is where you... where the tape splits down the middle and you've got the packing tape and you keep trying to like trace it back to peel off all of the half tape and you can never get it straight again.
Nope, it's ruined.
The whole roll is ruined. Well, that problem hasn't been solved, but the problem of the noisy tape has been solved. And I'm sure that you're going to be charged a premium to be able to solve it in your own life as well. It is a company called Uline, which they provide tape for all kinds of office supply stuff and shipping and all this. They have now finally developed what they're calling quiet tape. And I could play the video for you here of the tape, but you wouldn't hear anything because the tape is silent. Yeah.
I guess maybe if you work in shipping or like you use a lot, this would be way more exciting.
I wonder if I don't know if Amazon uses that different kind of tape, so
yeah.
But I wonder if in other facilities, like shipping facilities, if this is what drives them absolutely. If people are going home, they're coming home at the end of the day. Yeah. They're sucking their thumb and they're rocking off. They're like the screeching,
with the tape.
The screeching.
They say that instead of changing the formulation of the sticky acrylic adhesive, that could, have it. If they changed it to make it quieter, that could in turn cause it to not stay as sticky on the actual cardboard box.
And we don't want that.
Instead, they did an easy release coating to the smooth, shiny side of tape so that it releases. That's where it took the noise away.
That's clever there.
That's interesting.
That's right. That's problem solving. You do wonder why it took so many years for them to figure it out.
Well, maybe it just wasn't a high priority.
I mean, if you're at Uline, Uline, whatever their company is called. What else have you had to deal with?
Well, they needed to come up with something, and it was now the right time.
They've been too busy developing different sizes of envelopes.
Maybe.
And bubble wrap that they forgot that the screechy tape was driving everybody insane.
So the Uline normal traditional best-selling packing like tape is $1.69 a roll. Pricing on the quiet tape is closer to $4 a roll.
Wow.
If you're purchasing like in the same quantity.
Yeah.
So it is way more expensive.
So the sad thing is, as much as like, the standard worker in a FedEx facility, I mean, I don't know where they would use this, but they're going home crazy hearing the screeching noise even in their sleep, and their employers aren't going to be like,
well, no one can afford that
No,
pricing.
we can't afford that.
The Riot really wanted to do this live, but now they can play video games and eat rice cakes instead. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
Forget about Pokemon Go. It's time to take your Pokemoning to the next level and actually start spotting Pokemon in the real world in Japan.
What are we doing?
We have a park called Pokemon Wonder where they are going to be letting you come on in. You can do 2 different courses, it looks like. And on the course, your job will be to try to spot all of the hidden real-life Pokemon that they've incorporated throughout the park.
So like statues or something?
It is actually natural. They're made out of natural materials, and they're made to look like real-life Pokemon. For example, I'm sure this will mean something to you, Nikki, the Metapod.
Oh, yeah.
Metapod. They made a Metapod woven from a palm leaf.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So if you look at the pictures, they look pretty good. There's a Ammonite carved from stone and a Hoot, or is that Hoot? Sculpted.
I'll let you be the one.
Sculpted from wood. So those are, and then Oddish is in there as well. Those are the only ones we know about because they can't give it all away before you can actually go. But this is an option for you to really take Pokemon and really dive into a whole new world with it.
So basically, they say it's kind of like a real life walkthrough, like Pokemon Snap, which is good because normally we get from Japan, they're like, here's the cafe. And so you're going in, and there probably is a Pokemon one, but like you'll go in, and here's the desserts that you can get.
Yeah, and the desserts look like Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. But this one's actually outdoors and something that you can walk through.
Yeah, and I mean, it sounds like it'd be good for your Instagram. You get to take a picture if you can spot these characters out there.
So the nature-based theme park is in Tokyo, and they announced it on Wednesday from the Pokemon Company.
And it will be, by the way, only open from July 17th to August 3rd of next year. So you have plenty of time to plan ahead, and hopefully...
Oh, you have quite some time.
Hopefully everything will work out by then, that it will work for you.
I know we'll talk in a little bit about the Olympics had an update for... There's a reason why it's not this year.
Yeah, right. Maybe they were thinking this year, and
it's not going to happen.
And they just thought to be safe, we'll put it off.
But for Pokemon Wonder, wow, all right, July 17th through August 3rd of 2022.
I feel like it sounds like a cool idea in principle that, or in theory, that walking through a park trying to spot the Pokemon, don't you have the fear, especially if you were to go all the way to Japan, that you would get there and it would be it's just a park. And, it's not all that different. And then you paid all this money.
I understand. Actually, there's probably some level of disappointment because we're virtually so used to looking at things that are not, augmented like reality.
Yeah.
And that way, it's so impressive that way. And we understand it's not real. But when you go look at something real, then it's just disappointing because it's not as vivid and it's not as cool looking. Right. You're looking at a plant.
a plant turned into a Metapod.
A stone.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. So if you get there and you're like, the plant is a little dry, it is probably not as exciting as when you see a virtual version of something.
Yeah. So probably maybe not a vacation destination just for this, but it's a cool idea. Already.
Lower your expectations enough and you'll never be disappointed. You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
Now, we mentioned this, we alluded to it a minute ago, that the Olympics are coming up in Japan, but there's a big but. Now there's not going to be spectators anymore, which is something that I feel we all saw coming a mile away.
It's not too much of a surprise, but it is, I think it's hard. It must be difficult to be an athlete because you've trained, like this is your goal.
Right. And for the Olympics.
Yeah, you want people to, be a part of that.
Yeah.
But yet the stands are going to be empty.
Well, I wonder if maybe, like if you're a pole vaulter or javelin thrower or something, you're just used to it.
Oh, no one.
Because nobody, it's not.
Because it's not a high
The Olympics is the one time that people usually do watch that stuff.
Right,
so maybe this is maybe they'll be more comfortable and we'll see better performance.
How about we say it this way? You would have wanted your friends and family who would have traveled with you to be a part of it, but at this point, Japan is just saying no. And again, it's not still a shock at all.
Yeah.
They're just not going to have any spectators because they're declaring another state of emergency.
Yeah, the Olympics, I don't know exactly when they start.
It's Friday, July 23rd.
Oh, the same day as the 5K. What are the odds?
The opening of it. We have the same opening virtual ceremony.
We do.
We're just jumping off there.
And there'll be the same amount of people... what do you call it? The same amount of spectators.
Yeah, pretty much. We've got that till Sunday, August 8th, which will be that is the same wrap up as ours. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Wow. A few days before that. But yeah, that's the run of the Tokyo Olympic Games.
Right. So they're not going to have, they already had said no foreign spectators were going to be there. And now because it is a state of emergency, they're going to be really banning all spectators, it looks like. And they are still going forward with the games, though. And it is surprising. I don't know what the situation is really like in Japan. It's totally understandable. You wouldn't want people coming in from all over the place or a lot of people filling up the stands when you've got all these people from all over the world. You don't want to spread the virus around. But again, the same thing. And we've said this when we've talked about the Olympics before. If it was held here in the U.S., we would just be guns blazing, just doing it.
Ready to
because whether the numbers of the virus don't seem to really faze us anymore because enough people are vaccinated to where it's just, we don't care. We just, it doesn't matter to us. So, I mean, the Stanley Cup finals were last night. The stands were filled in Florida.
Well, they were saying, though, in Tokyo and other parts, like in Japan, it is kind of somewhat the same, meaning everybody still's wearing masks, but it's the state of emergency doesn't really change anything necessarily. Like, it's not like you have to stay indoors. It's not like that sort of thing.
Right.
But I think that state of emergency just is to really say, hey, no spectators at all for the Olympics.
Pound home that they don't want people in the stands whatsoever.
And they say if you want to support the athletes, even at home or if you're going to a place to eat, that you're supposed to clap, not sing or cheer. Sponsors are scaling and canceling booths and events that were supposed to be like something in person there. So it's very much a last minute decision by the organizers. So some are frustrated who were planning on doing stuff for at least some of the spectators who were allowed to come.
Yeah.
But now at this point, no.
It will be interesting to see what it's like once they get it on TV for some of the events. Because for some stuff, like I felt in the NFL season, the diminished crowds didn't really, because you couldn't even see the crowds anyways, so it didn't make that big of a difference. But for hockey and basketball last season when they were in the bubble, it was not the same. Not having an actual crowd in the stands. So for the Olympics, I wonder, for some events, again, like javelin, I mean, you wouldn't watch that anyway. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be tuning in for the javelin throws.
Opening ceremony, closing ceremony, the bigger sports would have had a ton of people there.
Yeah.
So that will be odd. But I think at this point we are used to seeing just empty stands.
Yeah.
Or they'll just put like a light there and no one's there with it, but they'll make it look full.
All the tarping with advertisements, it gives the advertisers more space. So
way more space.
Anything for the advertisers. Well, looking forward to it.
If you're looking for all the funny moments you missed during the riot, we apologize. You won't find them here. There weren't any. This is the worst of the Riot podcast.
If you go to Niagara Falls, you know, it is very touristy.
Yeah.
And not only with the touristy, you get like Ripley's Believe It or Not, and you get all of the, like there's casinos there, whatever. But of course, if you go to somewhere touristy, also there's all the outlet stuff.
Yeah. Some classy places.
Yeah. And the fudge shops. Like there's always, if you go somewhere touristy, there's always a fudge shop. And so when I went to Niagara Falls, one of the times, me and my family went to one of these like fancy fudge shops.
Yeah.
Like the nice ones.
The good one.
They have so many flavors. And so what we did, we were going big. We each got to pick out there was 6 of us.
Yeah.
We all 6 picked out one of the
6
big
flavors?
6 flavors. And it wasn't like we each get a little tiny square. I think it was like a pound I think it was a pound of fudge each that we got to pick out, and we were going to share them and not eat them all in one night or anything.
Well, it's fudge. You gotta.
Yeah, you got to space it out. I couldn't eat a pound of fudge if I wanted to anytime in my life.
I bet actually you probably could.
I wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to. That's more along
I don't
the
like
line.
fudge that much, actually, but that actually might stem from this story, because this is like I'm 10 years old or something like that. So we pick out the fudge, and then we go back because my grandparents live near that area. And so we go back to my grandparents' house at the end of the day, and we've got 6 pounds of fudge.
Your own flavor.
We're going to share. Now there's including my grandparents and a few other family members, there's probably like 10 of us there. And it's like, well, let's each share some of this fudge. Let's all sample all the different flavors that we picked out. And so we let my grandfather go right near the front of the line. He picks up the entire pound of fudge that I had picked out.
Your flavor?
Cookies and cream. He took the cookies and cream.
Just to take a bite, though, right?
No, he took it and he walked
thing?
away. He left the gathering area, went outside, and ate the entire pound of cookies and cream
And it
fudge.
was the one you
And
wanted.
that was the one that I had picked out, so I didn't even get to try a
No wonder
bite of
you don't
mine.
like fudge.
That's right. It all stems back from that. And man, like I love my grandfather, but you don't expect somebody that you trust. And obviously that's a small thing, really, in the scheme of things.
But it was big when it was happening.
Yeah, all these years later, I still remember it. And you don't expect somebody that you trust and look up to let you down like that, to just totally, I mean, he didn't know it was me specifically, but he just did his own thing. He was just out there going after the fudge. And in a way, you admire him for it. But in a way, really, especially as a kid, it's like, man, it's really disappointing. And the truth is, we all look up to people. We have the people we trust, and they are still going to screw up. They are still going to give you bad advice every once in a while, or take all of your fudge, or, just do something to let you down. And that can really make you question everything. But here's what I want to let you know, that God isn't like that. God is worth looking up to. And there's lots of people that are worth looking up to. But God, unlike each of them, is not going to let you down. He's never going to have a moment where he acts out of his own self-interest and it actually hurts you, or where he leads you astray for whatever reason. Jesus loves you, and he loves you so much that he always has your best interests in mind and what is best for you. And so everything he's doing with your life, he is leading you to have a better life. And if you want that, it's as simple as asking, say, hey, God, I need somebody to look up to. Like, I need somebody that can lead me, that I know isn't going to set me down the wrong path at some point, whether intentionally or not. I want some help. I want to be able to look up to you. God, start talking to me and walk me through this. And Jesus will. He's ready right now, wherever you are, to start walking with you through life, to give you the advice you need, to be the shoulder you need when things aren't going great. God's ready to be that for you. And all you need to do is ask. If you want to know more, check out RadioU.com/free gift also. It's a great place to start.
So Bridget just texted. She's going to Niagara Falls next week.
Uh-huh.
Do you want her to bring her back some cookies and cream fudge? If you happen to just pass a fudge shop.
It'd be funny if I could remember. I don't remember the shop.
Healing?
I do.
So I think this might be an
all
opportunity.
These years later.
There's no fresh by date because it was spoiled when they made it. Worst of the Riot, RadioU.
Congratulations are in order for the Tampa Bay Lightning as they won their second consecutive Stanley Cup last night. They did it in front of their home crowd at the Amalie Arena, which is in Tampa Bay, the Tampa Bay area.
And in case you're just really trying to catch up, that's hockey.
That is hockey. That's right.
I just want to make sure we all feel included.
Yeah. Well, eventually I'll be on the show long enough to where everyone will just know. Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, hockey time. All right.
But the Amalie Arena is significant because now you can drink a beer, or you would be able to drink a beer if you're in the Tampa Bay area, brewed with ice from the Amalie Arena.
From the rink?
From the rink.
Oh, my
during
God.
the Stanley Cup Finals.
Is that like, is it filtered afterwards, or is it just full of all the sweat and the germs?
Oh, that's what makes it good.
Yeah, but I thought we didn't
All
want
the
any more.
blood. Don't forget it's hockey, so there's blood. There's probably some loose teeth out there.
I thought we didn't want any more possible
the saliva.
sicknesses.
That's what gives it the flavor.
Oh gosh, boy, let me tell you, I didn't know about this whole. We see this a lot with like energy drinks,
Yeah.
and we all experience the 8,000 Mountain Dews that are out there now. But I didn't know that beers did a lot of this gimmicky stuff too.
Oh no, I feel that this is. All of the craft beer breweries have completely swamped the market with just every imaginable concoction you can think of to like that they would put in their beer. They'll do anything. Walnuts, Twizzlers, they would raid the RadioU break room and just make a beer that has everything in there. Pop-Tarts, they do it all. So they've run out of ideas. So now they're not just using different food items and stuff like that. They're using ice from arenas. Now, this isn't a craft brewery. This is actually Coors Light.
So they say that they took shavings collected, at least it was from game one. So
so the ice was cleaner then.
There was a Lightning ice crew, and they sent them to Colorado in hydro flasks and shipped them overnight to do that. That was something that they set up with the Lightning. It's not the first time, though, that a team has used its ice in beverages.
Yeah.
The Penguins and the Blackhawks did that and sold that for charity. In 2014, it was made into ice pops, like popsicles during the playoffs.
Right. So, but those, I don't know that, like when the Penguins and Blackhawks did it, they sold it bottled. I don't know that was meant for you to drink. I mean, maybe you could if you really wanted to.
It's popsicles. It's meant to eat.
Well, ice pops, yeah. But when they bottled it, I don't think you're just supposed to open it up and take I mean, again, I guess you could. Who's stopping you once you buy it? But I don't know that it was marketed that way. But this is definitely, they shaved the ice off. They're putting it into a beer, and the beer is for you to drink. In fact, the way they're selling it, there's only two ways to get it. Either you get it at a bar in the area, in the Tampa Bay area, so you're not buying, like you could buy a bottle of beer and just save that on your shelf as a memento if you wanted to. You're not getting a draft beer and you can't save it. So you're meant to drink it. You're meant to drink it. And then the other option is if you want what they call a limited edition collectible crowler. I think that's how you say it. That, if you really wanted to, you could save on your shelf, or you could just drink it. It's up to you.
It's a lot. So much gimmicky, though. They're like, where the Lightning put all their blood, sweat, and tears. So they're using the ice with that. I thought we knew better than we're not supposed to eat the snow. We're not supposed to eat the ice. And I'm not sure I want to open that up.
Maybe it was the pregame ice, or right after the Zamboni went over it. So it makes it okay, where it was nice and clean. And then they filtered it through, and so really it's just, I mean, either way, it's ice shavings. There's hardly any of it in this beer. It's just a gimmick. It's all a gimmick.
It's all a gimmick with the high prices.
Worst of the Riot podcast.
This is a new research published by California, Berkeley, like the University of California. They have found there's a strong link between cell phone radiation and tumors, particularly in the brain.
Brain tumors?
They studied what they did was took research from 46 different studies, and they kind of combed through all that and added it all together.
Looks like it was from 10 or more years.
Yeah, and what they found was using your cell phone for more than 17 minutes a day over a 10-year period averaged out increased the risk of tumors by 60%.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So now, all right, I don't know if it even says this, but every time I see stories like this, do they mean like if you're actually making a phone call?
No, I think they just because
if I'm holding it
I
down,
think keeping your phone around you all the time. I don't know if it's that specific, but they also found that using your phone for more than 10 years doubled the risk of brain tumors.
They say that, our phone is it's more than just a part of our lives. It is a lot of our lives. And especially with smartphones, which is what basically 97% of Americans now own a cell phone, smartphone of some kind.
Yes.
But I just always wondered if it was like, because if they tell me 17 or more minutes, if you're using your cell phone, well, I'm fine because I don't make any phone calls.
Yeah, right. That's a good distinction.
If they're talking about like if you're holding your phone or if I'm watching something at night and that's normally closer to your head and stuff, you have to remember that stuff.
Well, this is where we go from just looking at the study and seeing what it says to try to kind of draw our own conclusions from what it shares, because it says that it's causing brain tumors, particularly if you're using your phone a lot, but it's tumors everywhere. So I would think that this isn't specifically mentioned in the research, but if you're using your phone as to use it to make calls by your ear, I would think that is what would be more connected to brain tumors because it's closer to your head.
Yeah.
But then if you're just using it in general, you might get tumors elsewhere. But I mean, that's just me. I don't know anything about medicine or tumors or anything really, but that's just in my mind.
That's Hudson's
in
take
my
on
brain
that.
tumor riddled mind because of how much I use my cell phone. That's what I think.
So they're also saying that critics are a little concerned about cell phone use health studies. If you guys don't realize, like the smoking industry, so like cigarettes, I don't know if vaping has to do it yet, but like food industry, when it is the problem item, like even with say, like alcohol.
Yeah.
They themselves have to provide they're paying for like the don't drink and drive,
Right.
don't smoke, don't use your cell phone, like be responsible. They have to pay for that sort of advertising and public service stuff. So they're saying that so many studies looking into the health risks of cell phones are actually funded by cell phone carriers and companies. And so they're actually even wondering if perhaps can that skew the research results?
It could be even worse.
It could be even worse. They have no real idea on how to get a real read on it.
I mean, I don't know. I've used a cell phone for over
Whole
10
life,
years,
yeah.
over 17 minutes a day. So according to this, I should be dead.
This is RadioU's Worst of the Riot.
All right, Nikki, what is possibly the worst thing about going grocery shopping?
Going inside. Being around
really?
people.
You think? No.
The pricing.
No.
The bright lights, the loud noises. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I don't like going inside.
It's sensory overload for you.
Pretty much.
No, I was not thinking about any of those things. In fact, most of those don't even come to mind. The pricing, maybe.
I think it's just because I'm so used to now just picking up and having it sent to me that I just can't. I can't handle it.
We can't all be as fancy as you.
Not as many deliveries.
No, the real problem is when you go and you buy your hot dogs, you can't just buy hot dog buns that are the same quantity as your hot dogs.
Oh,
and so you always wind up in a hot dog loop because you have
more buns than dogs.
Yeah, more bun, and you don't want the buns to go to waste. So it's like I've still got 2 buns. I've got to go back. I'll get hot dogs, but then I've got to get more buns because I'll have 6 more hot dogs and I have buns, and you're stuck on this endless loop of always having the wrong amount.
Well, do you think
or just not having hot dogs at all?
Do they expect us to drop like one or two hot dog buns? And like you just have to have a few extras in case of an emergency?
Maybe that's what it is. That's the gift of the hot dog bun companies, that they're watching out for our clumsiness.
They assume we will lose a few of the buns in the transport.
Well, we know what happens when you assume. But,
that's true.
Heinz is on the same page as I am, Nikki. They have announced a petition. They're calling it, this is Heinz Canada, the Heinz Hot Dog Pact, where they want to standardize the amount of hot dogs and the amount of buns that you buy so that you never again have to waste food or get stuck in a hot dog loop like I do.
Oh, so they're kind of feeling like that you get less hot dog buns than you need and more hot dogs?
I think in my experience, you usually get more buns than dogs.
Yeah, I always have like a surplus.
But this is Canada, so maybe it's different. It's just that it's never right. It's never you get 6 hot dogs and 8 buns, or you get 8 hot dogs and 10 buns, and you just cannot line it up. And Heinz is saying, no more. I'm tired of these big shots at the Wiener Company and the bun company taking advantage of us hardworking Canadians and Americans.
So for theirs, they say hot dogs come usually in packs of 10, while hot dog buns for them come in groups of 8. And, you know, the person with this article saying it just really depends on where you're at to which ratio you get. But they want to have it match up more.
It depends what kind of hot dogs you get, too, because if you get the cheaper end, like the what do they call them? The wieners, where they're literally like
they can't even say hot dog.
They can't say Franks. They have to say wieners because they're a mix of pork and chicken and who knows what else. But if you get the all beef and you go for a little fancier version, then you're only getting 4 or 6, which is not enough to add up to how many buns you are going to get. So at the end of the day, I'm with them on this. And now if they can just tackle the bread situation, where it's 2021 and you buy a loaf of bread and there's always an uneven number of pieces.
Yeah.
And if you're making sandwiches, you have 1 piece of bread left over. What are you supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
Make half a sandwich?
Well, I have doggies, so they get all the leftovers.
I give them the heels.
Oh, yeah, the ends.
But so that's 2 pieces per loaf is enough for them.
I'm not sure.
But that 1 bonus piece.
It's just there.
Andy I don't know why I've never understood that about bread in grocery stores.
Andy just texted, said the Wahlburger hot dogs, they come in an 8-pack and they're amazing. Plus, they have no preservatives.
Oh, wow.
Andy, we're not worried about that.
No, we're eating hot dogs, Andy.
I know, we really don't care.
Also, I've never seen, what are you, shopping at Whole Foods, Andy? I've never seen Wahlburger hot dogs before.
Let's see. Another Andy is in Atlantic City this morning, and the hot dogs have to be kept cold. Are they planning on putting the buns in the refrigerator also? Some people put hot dog or like bread in the refrigerator.
Yeah, but that's like to keep it.
Yeah, that's because we don't want mold. So if you're not going to eat it fast enough or we don't store it right.
My mom used to buy bread and freeze it as if, you know, like as if bread is so expensive, you need to buy it in bulk to save. It's just,
hey, if you're buying at Costco like I do, then you have too many hot dogs and too many buns.
Yeah, you just have too much of it all.
You just can't do it.
And they bring it right out to your car for you.
That's right. Max said, I have a quick hack for hot dog buns. Put peanut butter and Nutella on them, and you can eat it with hot dog buns, and it's good.
What, just as a sandwich?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that, but that's not what they're meant for. I thought he was just going to say, actually put peanut butter on a hot dog, which I've done, and it can be quite good.
No, this is just making Nutella, so like chocolate peanut butter, or a hazelnut. I'm so sorry. Nutella's a hazelnut spread. It's not chocolate, it's hazelnut. But you do that with peanut butter, and that sounds good too.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
You ever walk on the sand, like on the beach on a really, really hot day? You have to have shoes or flip-flops because the sand will burn your feet right off. I made that mistake last summer. I went to the lake and I didn't realize at the beach we were going to that it was a super long walk just to get from where you park
to the water.
Yeah, and it's all through the sand, and I was running because the sand was so hot I couldn't just stand still.
Especially because our bodies are so delicate
and
it's
they
not
really
used to
are.
the heat.
Yep, my feet hadn't built up. And that was only when it was like maybe 90, if that. It probably wasn't even that warm. So, of course, you can imagine what things were like on the beaches on the West Coast over the last week or two, where the heat wave that was breaking record temperatures, setting new records for how hot it could be in Seattle or in the Washington, Oregon, British Columbia, and Canada areas. It was really bad.
They say that using thermal imaging cameras along the shoreline, temperatures got up to 122 degrees.
So think about the heat, the effect that heat has on your feet for a few minutes.
Yeah.
And then think about the effect that record-setting heat would have on the clams, mussels,
the sea people,
barnacles, snails, all of these little sea creatures that were just out there, especially during low tide, just baking in the sun.
Basically, they said that so many of the sea creatures basically, it's so sad to say this, but they basically cook to death. And you're like, well, what's the big deal? I've never had like clams or barnacles or snails.
I don't think you can eat barnacles.
Or mussels. Hey, you'd be surprised. People will try anything. I bet you can eat barnacles. But they just said that in those temperatures that so many of the creatures it was just like mass death. You could just smell all of them baked.
You could smell them cooking out there. So you know what we need to do.
But if you like mussels, you're just like, wow, it smells really good.
Yeah, that's what we need to do is get out there before they go bad.
Oh, I bet
and
you
go
can't
eat them all up now while they're still hot and fresh.
Oh, the mussels, they cracked open.
Steamed clams.
So then they were already ready, but they died enough to where you shouldn't eat them.
If you were just there at the right time, you could have just had yourself a feast.
You bring your own butter.
Yep.
Just go on out there.
Put on a bib and start cracking them open. You're good to go. You get the a free clam bake there in Vancouver.
They say the mussels are kind of like stuck on the shore. So when the tide comes back in, so there's nothing else they can do unless the tide does save them.
Right.
But then at that point, because it was so hot, especially over the weekends, they just cooked.
Yeah, and that's not even
cooked.
You have to wonder if when it was getting so hot. What if there's animals that were in the ocean?
Oh yeah,
that the water was heating up and they were getting like boiled to death.
Well,
it doesn't boil, but
it was just warmer than they were used to.
Yeah,
probably. But these were just things on the shoreline. They say 1 billion sea creatures during the Pacific Northwest heat wave cooked to death.
That's quite a
That's a statement right there.
Quite a smorgasbord you could have.
You would pay so much money if it was like a Vegas buffet.
Yeah.
To have all
those clams and mussels.
You'd pay so much
but now,
it was free.
Now you're going to have to pay more because there's going to be a shortage because all of them died on shore there instead of actually getting caught and shipped out to be eaten fresh somewhere. So,
well, they can't. I mean, you can't just go and take them now. It wouldn't be
safe. It's been a few days, so.
The Riot. Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not good. Wait. Isn't that exactly what it means? It's The Riot on Radio U.
I don't know if you got a chance to see this video with doggies.
Doggy, I like every doggy video.
Yeah, but I don't know about this one actually because it's from Russia.
What's you got Russian robots and now Russian doggies?
They've got robots and dogs coming to take all the jobs. And in this case, the dogs are coming to take over as paratroopers.
Oh, why are they? Oh, it's training.
It's war zone training. So I guess Russia's preparing to attack.
With doggies?
They're coming to attack, and they're going to bring dogs with them. And maybe the dogs are meant to distract us so that we'll be too
excited,
too busy looking at the German shepherds because they're so cute, and then they can just take us into custody.
Actually, that is something for another country who is interested in distracting us. If they want to distract, not like the soldiers here, because I think you guys could fight it. But man, if a doggy fell from the sky, I'd be so excited.
I think maybe there's something to that.
I'd take the doggy.
Russia, I wouldn't think they're not nearly as advanced in many ways as we are in the United States, but Putin, man, he was in the KGB or whatever. He's got like all kinds of psychological games he knows how to play. So he probably knows the psychology of like, how could they possibly be intimidated if we're bringing dogs to the fight?
Well, that's true, because at first you think, these dogs would be intimidating and like a soldier, but not to a lot of people I know.
I would just let the dog bite me. Come on, buddy.
Hey.
Oh, he's biting me. Isn't it so sweet?
But I mean, we have dog troopers too.
Do we?
I think in our guys, anybody better than us, and
that's like really up on all the military stuff. See, that's why I think
you're way into that, and you know more. We have that too.
That's why
dogs do that.
That's why I think this is news, because normally you would just have people parachute down. Why would they need to bring a dog to But this is like actually. I hope we're not doing this. We don't need to bring dogs into this.
We do, because then the dog will.
The dogs can fight each other. No, we got to match Russia's dogs with our dogs, so we'll parachute down and we'll get the dogs to fight each other, and the humans will fight. And
there's things that dogs do, like they'll look for mines and other stuff.
But they don't need to parachute.
They do. They go in with the soldier.
Oh, I don't want them to do that.
It's like your police dog. Probably they stay with you.
We need to cut that. No, we need dogs don't belong in jumping out. Look at this. Watch this video
look so
of this.
Happy.
And then you think the dog looks happy jumping out of this plane?
I
He
bet
looks
some
like he
of
has
them.
no idea what's going on, and he does not want to be there at all. I mean, he's calm because he's trained to be calm, but he does not look happy.
I have one dog gets nervous and stuff, and that dog would pee the whole way down, just out of fright. I'd just be so scared. I'm talking about you, Cinnamon. You're not made to be a paratrooper dog.
Dogs aren't supposed to be paratroopers at all. This dog looks. Maybe it's just because. So the way they have it, the dog is strapped to the person's waist.
Yeah.
And it's strapped in, and it looks so. If I was carrying my dog like this at waist level, dogs that size do not want to be picked up.
Well, they're trained though. Listen, I've seen other dog stuff. This is not weird. It's not.
No, they don't like it. This dog, I can see it in his eyes. He says, "I don't want to be here.
I'm going
I don't want to
down."
be. I want to be on the ground."
Now, Rich had a great text. We just need to load up on peanut butter filled the Kong toys, and the dogs will all be distracted on the way.
Squeaky steaks.
So we're safe.
Yeah, that'll fight the dog war right there.
Yeah, the dog stays with the soldier.
You go to the Pentagon, and there's all these researchers trying to find the most enticing dog toys to distract the Russian dogs for when they invade. I'm concerned about it. I feel bad for the dogs, even if they are trained. They didn't sign up to be a part of the military. They were drafted. We don't want that.
Well, let's see. Everybody keeps sending text messages. Jeff sent
Who knew people had so much opinions on dogs and planes?
About helping to design oxygen masks for skydiving dogs.
Oh.
So skydiving dogs is a thing.
You're a part of the problem, Jeff.
Don't send us anymore.
No, we don't. I just want to keep on living in my world where the U.S. military doesn't involve. I don't care if they involve dogs, just not jumping out of planes. Dogs don't want to do that.
They have to get there somehow. If the soldier gets there, how else are they supposed to have the dogs?
If they can't get there on the ground, then they don't belong.
The dogs are that's our leader right there.
Yeah.
We're following Hudson.
I'm going to start my own dog army, and it's going to be all ground-based.
The Riot Podcast. RadioU.
Nikki, do you remember Arthur?
Wasn't that when we were kids a show?
Yeah. Not Arthur. It was an old movie, and then they remade it with Russell Brand, where he was a rich guy, but he was a child.
It was an animated one, wasn't it?
That's a different thing.
Yeah.
Arthur, the TV show, it started in 1996, although it's been running in some way or another pretty much ever since then. It's about Arthur the Aardvark. He's talking.
His many adventures.
I don't know if I would call him adventures as much because he doesn't really leave the town that he lives in, which is something I don't know.
Well, he's probably a kid, right?
He is a kid. He's 8 years old, and he has in the show a sister. Which, if you ever watched, I think everybody who watched the show hated his sister DW. Because Arthur hates her.
Oh, that's
because
funny.
She is she was made to be quite an annoying character, maybe more annoying than they initially intended.
Yeah, so a lot of people maybe remember her more than even Arthur.
She had an imaginary friend named Nadine, and she loved Mary Moo Cow. These are maybe if you didn't.
Are you remembering that, or is that somewhere?
No, this
down?
is sometimes you have where you don't think about something, and then you start thinking about it, and the memories flood back a little bit.
Come back.
I watched some Arthur as a kid. Well, this may be a surprise. Anybody who's ever seen Arthur, DW has always been voiced by a male actor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So now
that's not uncommon. It's also not uncommon for a female to voice a male character.
I thought it was reversed where, normally you would see, especially with children's shows where it's prepubescent boys, that it's more voiced by female actors because their voices are higher. Yeah, than if it would be I couldn't voice a prepubescent child.
You sure?
Well, maybe. What do you think?
I don't know.
I'd sound like a little boy.
That is all sorts of awkward. I don't think you're the right fit, but maybe it's the wrong role.
I have to work on that. I got to train.
We got to find
some
you something
voice
else.
training.
More than
anyway, so I guess I couldn't voice DW either.
No, probably not.
But there are not just one, but several different male actors who have, and now they have their own podcast called Finding DW, because there is a podcast for everything. So if this little segment right here was not enough of a deep dive for you into the history of Arthur and DW,
you can find
then
the
that
podcast.
podcast might be for you, where you can really dive into your childhood.
They're trying to locate and just showcase all the voice actors who did DW.
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to go back, because for the kids' shows, sometimes when you're a kid, the actors that do the voice acting, they're either people that, like, actors you kind of know, or like Mark Hamill from Star Wars and stuff did the voice of the Joker in the Batman. And you wouldn't realize that listening to it, but then you see that in the credits and stuff, and you're like, oh, it's somebody I actually know.
Yeah, but it's hard when you, especially if they're doing a podcast, to like peel back the curtain.
Yeah.
Because then when you find out your beloved childhood show, they were probably like wasted during most
that's
of
right.
it.
They were on drugs the whole time.
You don't want to know what was going on.
You don't know what they were doing when they were making Magic School Bus.
You don't know. I just feel I know that's exactly what was going on.
Well,
but Katie texted in and said the episode where Arthur punched TW was my favorite.
I don't know if you can show that on TV now. I don't know. I remember it, but not enough to know if that was like, was there a real teachable moment where we really all had a...
Don't punch people?
Yeah.
Probably the moment.
Yeah. I don't know, but now you might not even be able to show that kind of violence, even that level of violence in a children's show.
Well, for this podcast, they're trying to, again, find all the other actors who did DW's voicing.
And I'll be auditioning. Mom! Arthur hit me!
They say it wasn't until COVID that they got this going, because I think COVID was a lot of free time.
It was a podcast boom. Everybody had a lot of free time and nothing to do but think about Arthur and DW.
So it showcases in 30-minute episodes his search for all the voice actors. And just a reminder, if you have the time to listen to that, you have the time for the Worst of Riot podcast.
That's true.
And
we cover a whole range of topics.
The worst of the riot is over, but the fun can keep going.
Hey, I saw you checking out my goods.
Check the Riot blog or stalk us on social media.
You want to sample them? A little try before you buy, huh?
Through riot.radiou.com.